What's up, y'all? This is gonna be my first vlog. I wasn't really prepared to start vlogging yet. I was actually gonna start on Monday, but I wanted to get to Cassidy versus Goodz before they dropped the battle. I thought they was gonna drop it on YouTube, but it's actually gonna be the first battle that they drop on the URL TV app, which gets released Monday. So I'm kind of forced to put this out a little bit earlier than I wanted to. I didn't get a chance to really take no notes or nothing, so I'm just gonna go off the top of the head. I'm just gonna start by saying I think the battle is debatable though. I think it's either Cass 2-1 or Cass 3-0. And the only reason I say Cass 2-1 is because his second round he cut it short because he was booing. But even though he was saying a lot of good stuff in that round, like it's kind of one of the unspoken rules of battle rap that you're not supposed to cut your round short. Like you're supposed to get through it no matter what. And he did try to rap through the boos, which I thought was commendable, but you know what I'm saying, they was just heckling him too much. He had to stop. So, you know what I'm saying, he lost that round. But Goodz got it by default. It ain't like he said nothing super crazy in that round that I like remember. It's just that Cassidy cut his round short. So if you're the type of person that don't care about that, because you know what I'm saying, Cassidy still had a good length round even when he cut it short. I don't know if he rapped longer than Goodz or not, but I'm saying it could still be a full round. So if you don't care, then you can have Cassidy 3-0 because he was saying better shit than Goodz. But the majority of the bloggers and the battle rap community, even the battlers, like most of them have Goodz winning. Like the only ones I can think of off the top of my head to have Cassidy winning is Daylight and Chef Trez. A lot of them have Goodz 3-0. Some of them have Goodz 2-1. I really can't see Goodz 3-0 because really the people that's saying that Goodz won is just going off crowd reaction, and well, that's how I feel. And if you're going off crowd reaction, then you can't give the first round to Goodz whatsoever because Cassidy rapped way longer and he was getting reactions for most of the stuff he was saying. So I really don't see no argument for Goodz getting the first round like at all. So I'm gonna call the first round clear for Cassidy. Goodz 2-1 is a little bit more understandable because like I said, I gave Goodz the second round by default. And then I think his third round was his best round. Like he had some of his best lines in that, like the Doctor Strange and the Alicia Keys, like all that stuff was like some of his best material. So I can see why some people would give him the third round. And also like some people might not understand what Cassidy was doing in his third round because he had like an interesting angle. But I think because of the way he delivered it, like the crowd, it was going over the crowd head. But I got it and I thought it made perfect sense. So I want to get into some of the arguments that the other bloggers and people in the battle rap community have for having Goodz winning, because even a lot of them say when you do a bar for bar, you know what I'm saying, Cassidy won. Like even Goodz, you know what I'm saying, complimented certain bars that Cassidy had. Like he complimented the Waves bar. You know what I'm saying? He clapped when he addressed the R. Kelly situation. So, you know what I'm saying, Goodz showed him his props. Cassidy said everything that Goodz said was trash. The people that say he won bar for bar, they'll then turn around and say, oh, but battle rap not just about bars no more. Well, for me, battle rap is all about bars. Like performance and all that stuff matters, but you know what I'm saying, the bars is like 75%. The performance only matters as to how you present the bars. Like somebody like Twerk, who got a crazy pen, you know what I'm saying, he do a lot of jumping around, you know what I'm saying, he aggressive, he bark on niggas. Like yeah, it helps the bars, but if he was somebody like Mr. Wavy that was just jumping around and doing all that shit on stage with no bars, like I wouldn't fuck with Twerk at all. And when I say bars, it don't have to be no intricate wordplay either. Like you could take something like, I'll use Twerk for example since I already brought him up. Like when he battled DNA, he told him, you know what I'm saying, I'm not a PG and you ain't no motherfucking killer. Like that's a bar. It ain't nothing extra to it. It's not really nothing crazy. Like DNA is known for the PG killer, and it was just him breaking the shit down. So it was like, it was effective, and there's performance in it too. Like if you watch the battle, like he was like poking his chest and shit. But you also have to consider that there's a lot of battle rappers that don't perform at all and they win battles. Like somebody like Chilla Jones, who's the king of the dot champion right now, you know what I'm saying, it's pretty much all bars. Like he don't perform that much, to be honest with you. Like yeah, he does the typical hand motions that the rest of the battle rappers do, but Cassidy was doing that. The first argument that I want to start with that people that have Goodz win and use is that they like to say that he had more presence. And I don't really see that argument at all because the whole event was Cassidy's event. It was based around his presence. Like, the reason it sold out was because of his promo. Like, people still talking about Cassidy a month after the battle. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody talking about Goodz. People wondering what Cassidy next battle gonna be, all type of shit like that. And also, you can tell, like, watching the, if you've seen the footage, you can tell, like, that the presence didn't really compare, because when they walked on stage, you can tell that whether people came to see Cassidy lose or not, they was there to see Cassidy. Like, when Goodz walked on stage, like, people cheered, but when Cassidy walked on stage, it was like Tay-Rock in Houston, like, the building shook. Cassidy clearly got presence. Cassidy clearly got that, and it's not even debatable. So then we get to performance, and when I think of performance, I think of people like Twerk, like I just said earlier. I think of people like Briz, and people that, and other people say Hitman is the king of performance. Like, when you look at their performances, like, you know what I'm saying, they looking directly at their opponent. Yeah, they address the crowd, but it's like, you know what I'm saying, they're on the person that they're battling. Like, you know what I'm saying, they barking on them, like, they direct. Goodz didn't really have that type of performance, like, and that's the type of performance I prefer. Like, the only thing I could think of that might be considered performance from Goodz is, besides, you know what I'm saying, the typical gun gestures and shit like that, is, you know what I'm saying, he put his cup down and said, I'm gonna be the Tay-Rock Goodz. Ooh. He also had a silencer bar, but to me, that's not an example of good performance. It's an example of bad performance, because the way the bar was supposed to work out is, he said, hold on. Then he bent over, and he's supposed to come back up and say, oh, that's the sound of the silencer, or whatever the punch was. But in the time that he bent over, the crowd started booing him, so there was no silence for the bar to land correctly. Like, even though the crowd still cheered it, it was like, you know what I'm saying, if you want to call that performance, he fucked it up. He had no performance whatsoever other than that. So then we get a Cass performance. Like, in the first round, Cass tugged his chain when he delivered a certain bar. Like, he was looking dead at Goodz. Like, he was barking on him, to be honest. Like, he was touching him. He was getting all in his face. He pocket tapped him. Like, you know what I'm saying? When Suge do it, you know what I'm saying, the crowd go crazy. But when Cass do it, I guess, you know what I'm saying, he don't get no points for that. In the second round, he basically had his hands around Goodz' neck after he just talked about his daughter. That's the type of performance that I look for. Like, I like people like Rock. They, you know what I'm saying, got that aggression, you know what I'm saying. They gonna get up on you. They gonna be direct when they deliver their bars. Like, they not just gonna be talking to the crowd like Goodz was. Like, that's not the type of shit I'm into. Like, even when Goodz had the hotel bar, like, that shit wasn't good to me. Like, he did a little dance with it, you know what I'm saying. Like, if you want to call that performance, I guess you can, but that type of shit is corny to me. Like, when K-Shine was singing his little songs in the beginning of his rounds, like, I didn't like that. So if you want to call that performance, I guess you can, but it's really just preference. I can see somebody edging Goodz in performance, but I'm not about to do that. I'm gonna give it to Cass by a slight margin. And I want to backtrack a little bit because, you know what I'm saying, I did say that people was judging this battle off crowd reaction. And I want to say why that's not a good idea, because the crowd was hostile. I had the fortune of watching the VOD. I didn't go to the event. And I watched it the day after it happened. I didn't watch it the same day, but I was on Twitter and I was looking, and people were saying, like, you know what I'm saying, like, there was literally Twitter posts with people asking, like, why the crowd was booing during other battles. Like, you know what I'm saying, nothing was said that was trash. You know what I'm saying, I saw posts where people were saying, like, you know what I'm saying, people was already drunk before the event started, and they were saying, like, oh, we gonna boo every battle because they took too long to start the event. I guess the event was supposed to start at 1 or 2, and people didn't finish getting into the building until about 4:30. Like, Young Ill got booed. You know what I'm saying, nothing that he said deserved to get booed. Every battle got booed except, they say, Suge versus Trez, but I know that's not true because Piper Boy said he was at Resolution and he said he booed Suge. But let's get back to these arguments. The next argument is crowd control. And crowd control, to me, is like that's the reason I even brought up the crowd just now, because it's not a factor. Like, I didn't really factor it in during this battle because, like I said, I seen the Twitter feed and I knew that the crowd was hostile. So it's like, why would I judge battles off with a whole bunch of drunk niggas is cheering. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm sober watching the battle. But Goodz really didn't have no crowd control, because I just talked about the silencer bar where he got booed when it was supposed to be silent. Like, if you had real crowd control, like, they wouldn't have caused that ruckus from when you stop rapping for 2 seconds. Like, they was just gassing a lot of dumb stuff. Like, Goodz said something about a Nintendo turning into a PlayStation, so you gotta change with the game. But the thing about it is, that shit don't make no sense, because Nintendo still exists, and Nintendo is the company. So he would have had to say Nintendo turning to Sony, or GameCube turning to PlayStation. Like, the way he said it don't make no sense either way you flip it. Then he said, you know what I'm saying, hop in a box like Double Dutch. And this ain't me harping on Goodz to say that, you know what I'm saying, he was trash. This is just me giving examples of what people say, how he won the battle. And I'm trying to show people, like, that really don't hold no weight. Cass had crowd control, or at least he displayed it at some points in the battle. Like, in the first round, he had a parallel universe bar. And even though I wasn't crazy about it, because I saw where he was going with it, but I don't think it was a parallel universe. Like, he needed to call Danny Myers and ask him how you do a parallel universe, because that wasn't it. But when he said it, the whole crowd said, I do with him, and they was damn near finna go crazy before he even got the bars out. So it was like, I don't understand how you can say he didn't have crowd control. And also, in the second round, when he first started getting booed, he tried to do a freestyle. And a lot of battle rappers, when they do stuff like that, they get the crowd back, like, right then. But I guess, like, the crowd was just hating on Cassidy or whatever. But, you know what I'm saying, I can't blame him, because Cassidy did say, you know what I'm saying, they was booing the hottest shit in the world. And, you know what I'm saying, that comes with experience. You're not supposed to heckle the crowd. That's where you get your support from. But I done seen vets do that. So, you know what I'm saying, I'm not taking points away from him for that. But I do understand why the crowd didn't want to give him his props. I would say crowd control is even. The next argument people use is that Cassidy was outdated, but that don't really hold water either, because, you know what I'm saying, like, everything that he was saying a lot of stuff that had stuff to do with, you know what I'm saying, current events. Like, in the third round, he opened the third round with a blogger scheme, and he talked about 3 Letterman being a hater. But, you know what I'm saying, that interview happened like a few weeks before the battle, so it was like, you know what I'm saying, he talking about shit that happened now. But I guess that the reason people saying that is because of his flow. The reason I'm not gonna say he outdated is because of his flow, is because, you know what I'm saying, I ain't never called Calico outdated, or I ain't never called, you know what I'm saying, Rock outdated. Like, people that got signature flows that don't really switch it up too often. And it's like, you know what I'm saying, I like them for that style. Like, I don't want them to change it. So if Cassidy is known for a certain style, you know what I'm saying, I'm pretty sure the fans that came to see him want to see him rap like Cassidy. And it's honestly like a breath of fresh air. Like I think of people like, you know what I'm saying, Daylight, you know what I'm saying, B-Dot, that bring something new to the game, you know what I'm saying? It's not that same, like, typical 4-bar setup, you know what I'm saying, that the vets popularized. You know what I'm saying? I like people like Rock, like I mentioned earlier, and E-Heart. They got, you know what I'm saying, those signature flows. Like, I don't want them to change it. Like, they can keep rapping like that as long as they battle, and I'm gonna keep fucking with them. A lot of people was also saying that he should have sped up, but I don't understand that argument either, because, like, in the first round, he wasn't rapping crazy fast, and he was getting good reaction. It wasn't until the second round where he really started losing the crowd, and it wasn't because of the way he was rapping. It was because he was talking too much shit. And if he would have sped up, you know what I'm saying, a lot of that shit probably would have been going over people's heads, because, you know what I'm saying, like, it's like, it would have been like a Lux battle. Like, you know what I'm saying, like, half of everything Lux say on first watch be going over my head. Like, I gotta go back and, like, try to decipher every line and try to figure out what that nigga be talking about. So it's like, if Cassidy would have been rapping fast like that, I probably would have enjoyed the battle less than I did. And also, it would be kind of hard for him to speed it up, because, you know what I'm saying, his rhyme patterns was kind of complex. Like, he had bars where he was rapping like 4 and 5 syllables going for 8 bars, and he had internal rhymes inside of each line. So it's like, saying, whether you think it's hot or not, like, the way he was rapping was way more complicated than Goodz. And it's easy to see that, because if you go look at any bar breakdown, like, when they trying to read Cassidy's rounds, like, people be having question marks or, you know what I'm saying, they be getting kind of tongue tied, like trying to read his lyrics because like the structure of it is complex. So if people couldn't catch it, you know what I'm saying, with him rapping it at the speed he was rapping it, I really don't understand the argument that he should have sped up. Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Oh, now I just want to talk about the battle overall, like starting from the first round. Overall, Cass did good. He did a lot better than I expected. I thought the battle was gonna be trash, but he was gonna pull it out. Like, I wasn't even excited for the battle at first because I'm not too crazy about Goodz, and I wasn't a Cassidy fan, so I was like, oh, this is just for, you know what I'm saying, URL to try to get, you know what I'm saying, an industry nigga in the battle. But then, like, Cassidy started promoing, and I realized, like, looking at all his freestyles and everything, like, no, he's a battler. Like, I listen to his music and his songs, he be battling himself. Like, he be talking about other battles that he had with, you know what I'm saying, different rappers. You know what I'm saying? He done had songs where he dissed battle rappers. Like, so it's like, he has been in the culture. Like, he been watching. Like, and it showed in the battle. Like, when he did the parallel universe. Like, there's probably a lot of casual fans that don't watch a lot of Danny Myers battles. So the fact that he even referenced that, you know what I'm saying, shows that he's somewhat in tune with the culture. But yeah, off the promo alone, like, I had Cash 3-0 because I'm not crazy about Goodz, and he wasn't really saying nothing. He got bodied in a face-off. Then Cass was going around like doing interviews with every outlet that I watch. You know what I'm saying? He was talking to 15 Minutes of Fame. He was talking to 3 Letterman. I don't know why he didn't go on Champion. Jay Black is in Philly, but you know what I'm saying? That's a different story. So I just want to touch on Good's angle in the battle. He wanted to talk money with Cassidy. Like, he wanted to paint him as like broke. But to me, that shit wasn't really hitting because we already know that, you know what I'm saying, with 2 paid battles, Cassidy done got paid more than the majority of the battle rap community ever got paid from battling in their life. You know what I'm saying? He got $250,000 in Battle Disaster. He said he didn't get $250,000 for this battle. I'm just gonna assume $200,000. But you know what I'm saying? That's just the tip of the iceberg because with all these interviews and stuff, like I said earlier, like I was listening to his music and watching his freestyles. I never listened to Cassidy music before. So I'm pretty sure he had diehard fans that as soon as he started promoting, like, they was listening to his music for nostalgic purposes. Like, all those streams and stuff, that's extra revenue for him. And he's still promoting the battle, so he's still making money. Like, he released a song right after that I added to my playlist. Every time that song comes on, like, that's money for Cass. So everything, when Goodz was trying to talk money to him, it wasn't really hitting for me. Like, Goodz said he had $100,000 in his backpack. Like, how long did it take you to make that, if it's true? That's Cass back in. Like, he finna make that in a couple hours. Cass started, and he predicted everything that Goodz was gonna say. And that's why I don't understand why people can say he was outdated, because Goodz was talking about a bunch of stuff that Cass did a long time ago. And Cassidy was addressing it, like, right then and there. Like, Goodz had an interview where he said he knew Cass was gonna bring up his daughter. So in the first round, Cass had an approach where he said, I never met your child to disrespect your child. And when he did that, it was like, kind of throwing Goodz off, like similar to what Tay Rock did, where it's like, yeah, I'm still gonna talk about your daughter, but I'm not gonna talk about your daughter. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, and I thought it was pretty clean because I thought that was all he was gonna say about Goodz' daughter. Like, I thought the line was kind of meant for him to say, like, you know what I'm saying, I don't need it to beat you, I can beat you without it, which he did in the first round. And then in the second round, he brought up his daughter anyway. So it was like, I felt like it was like, you know what I'm saying, like he was addressing Goodz directly. And that's another thing. People was trying to say he wasn't direct, but he was talking to Goodz. Like, he had a lot of lines where he was talking to Goodz, but we're gonna get into that because the third round is mostly where I feel like he was really like breaking Goodz down. So in the second, you know what I'm saying, he addressed the R. Kelly situation, and he used Goodz' daughter to do it. So it was like when Goodz' second came and he tried to joke about the R. Kelly situation, it was like after Cass said what he said, like none of that shit was funny to me. Like, it wasn't funny at all. Like, it's funny now thinking about it, but like when he was rapping it, I was like, you know what I'm saying, it's kind of embarrassing. And this is another way that you know that Cass was on par with other URL battlers, because in his first round, he had a Waze bar, like the app Waze, and his was better than Goodz, to be honest, or at least I thought so. But just the fact that him and Goodz both had the same type of bar, they both had that bar, shows you that, you know what I'm saying, he's rapping using the same references that a lot of these URL battlers is using, and his wordplay is, you know what I'm saying, on the same level, because he not rapping it the same with that same 4-bar setup. Like, you know what I'm saying? That doesn't take away from it for me. Like, I can still understand the bars. But anyways, going back to the second, Goodz got the second by default. But there was still a lot of material in Cass' second round that I like better than Goodz. So, but it don't matter. I said I gave Goodz the second round, so I'm off that. And to be honest, Cassidy's third round was his best round to me. Like, there's a lot of stuff that Cassidy was saying in his third round that I like be rapping out loud. Like, I just be chilling in the house and I'll think about the battle and I'll be like, yeah, this was fire when he said this. But I plan to do a bar for bar breakdown, so I don't want to get too much into it. I'll just give y'all a couple of examples. So he had an angle in the third where he was breaking Goodz' whole like money talk down, like basically saying like Goodz don't compare to me. And you know what I'm saying, he started basically by asking like Goodz, he was like, he said something along the lines of, have you ever brung some drip from a different continent and brought it back to the United States knowing you fly because you getting compliments? And after that, like, he started going into this whole like scheme about how he traveled the whole world, like comparing it to like what Goodz doing, how Goodz traveled. Cass had a line in his third where he said something along the lines of, I went from being in the diamond district trying to find a watch to being in Sierra Leone where the diamond shop. Like, that shit was fire to me. And then after that, like right after that, he told Goodz like a robber will probably only make $20 if he pawn your watch, like disrespecting Goodz, like basically saying like your money don't compare to mine. Like, you know what I'm saying, I used to buy diamond watches in the United States and now I go to different countries just for that. It neutralized everything Goodz was trying to say about money to me. Like, it made that shit not matter because Cassidy was talking about going all around the world. Like, he talked about going to China, he talked about going to Iraq, and I don't think I ever heard Goodz talking about leaving the country like that. And if he did, like, it wasn't that fire. And the thing about that is that angle, and I don't even want to call it an angle. It was like a personal, an angle, and a scheme all in one. Like, it was a pretty unique approach, and nobody else could have did that to Goodz but Cass. And that's why I don't understand why people were saying he outdated, because he was literally comparing their lives like right then and there. And another thing is, that was only like the last half or maybe third of his third. So, you know what I'm saying, before that, he was already barring Goodz to death. Like, he had probably already won a round before that. So this was just like the icing on the cake for me. And, you know what I'm saying, nobody can talk like that to Goodz. They had all the battle rappers lined up in front of the first two rows, I guess, to support Goodz. And I guess they didn't want to cheer for that shit either, because he was kind of talking to them too. Like, all that shit he was saying about him going around the world and doing shows and niggas not knowing none of their songs, like, you know what I'm saying, that shit applies to a lot of battle rappers. A lot of battle rappers want to make music and they ain't never seen the type of success that Cass had. That's not me disrespecting them, it's just facts. Like, Cassidy is the king of this shit. Like, you know what I'm saying, like, he's the highest paid, you know what I'm saying, he's the GOAT. No, I'm not gonna say he's the GOAT, I'm fucking around. But I definitely do think he's 5,002 and 0. You know what I'm saying? And I want to get into a couple of other things, but this is probably gonna be the end of this video. I'm gonna talk about, you know what I'm saying, who I think his next opponent should be. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna talk about like why other battlers, you know what I'm saying, need to pick up on his promo. But for now, you know what I'm saying, that's it. You know what I'm saying? I'll catch y'all later.